Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving this information a chance. If you like what you hear, I would love for you to share this channel with other people. Essentially, my job or my purpose with this channel is to help people remember who they are. If this resonates with you, if you are wanting to experience more of your true power, then I would love for you to subscribe to this channel and click the notification button. That's when you'll see new content being downloaded or uploaded. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here. Again, without you, I wouldn't do this, and I absolutely love what I do. I love that this is my job, as they say, and I get to help a lot of people. So according to your comments, this information is helping you being more empowered, and there's nothing greater that I can hear than to see that this information is helping you becoming more empowered. Today's messages are going to be for the chosen ones. But before I start with that, I'd like to give Jamie from Enchanted Earth a shout out. I received this beautiful necklace and the jewelry that I'm wearing, and I absolutely love it. It was just an incredible gift. Thank you so much, Jamie. If you are interested in jewelry, silver jewelry and crystals, and a whole bunch of other things, I've included the link down below. She's an amazing individual, and she too found this information helpful. So with that said, let's talk about the idea of being chosen. So since these messages are for the chosen one, the next logical question would be, what is a chosen one? Here's the deal. According to my guides, if you are choosing to remember who you are and what your purpose is, which is to bring love and light into this world and to seed higher consciousness, then you are the chosen one. Not because someone or something has chosen you, because you have chosen to be more conscious and more aware. We thank you, because the more people are conscious and aware, the more people begin to embody their own true power. And I talk about the true power all the time because we as human beings often don't see ourselves as very powerful. But beyond us being the human being, we are extraordinarily powerful beings. We are beings of light. So to answer the question, what is a chosen one or who is a chosen one? Very likely it's you. Not because someone has chosen you, but because you have chosen to be more aware. You have chosen to be more clear in your mind. You have chosen to remember who you are so that you can seed this consciousness into planet Earth as she's going through her own process of ascension. So you are very likely someone who is the chosen one. Pat yourself on the back. It is not easy to choose to be aware because it often means you no longer live according to status quo. And that can often be disrupting on many levels. So choosing to remember is a big deal, but it's not always an easy thing to go through. Every time you begin to remember who you are, it's like layers are being removed off of you so that you can truly see your divine nature, so that you can truly see your divine essence. And because you're choosing to do that, you're the chosen one. And the universe and my team says, thank you, because the more people choose to be aware, the more people essentially embody not only their greatness, but their true essence, which is divinity. So with that said, I have 4 or 5 different messages that are going to be for you, the chosen one. Message number 1, you are the universe. You are the universe. What does that mean? Well, think about it. The message is you are the universe. You are part of Source. You and Source are one. You have your distinct personality, individuality, but you are part of oneness. You are part of divinity. Divinity has created you, and because it has created you, you carry this divinity essence within you, and it's in the heart. It's not in the head. So the more you begin to live within your heart, the more you begin to remember who you really are. You begin to remember your true essence. You begin to remember your power. You begin to remember your unlimitedness, even though you are having a very real experience as a human being, which is very limited in its nature. But just because you have a limited experience does not mean that your unlimitedness is somehow gone. You just don't have the perception of it in the physical body. So the more you are in your heart, the more you remember who you really are. And remember, as being a chosen one, you are here to bring light and love into this world and seed higher consciousness into planet Earth so that we can so that we can not only embody our light, but we can seed this light onto planet Earth and its occupants. In other words, you remember who you are helps humanity and planet Earth ascend. What does that mean? And how do you help? Simply by remembering, by embodying that frequency, by embodying that essence, not just thinking about it, not just knowing it intellectually, but actually embodying it. You emit that frequency to the rest of the world, to everything that's around you. And because you are an energetic being, there is no limit to you. There is no beginning and end. You affect everywhere you go. Your energy affects everything and everyone around you. So the more you are at peace with your divinity, the more you are in acceptance of your divinity, the more you are helping the world purely energetically. Whether you talk about it or not, that's a whole different discussion. But just by embodying your pure essence, just by embodying, thank you. What is pure essence? Joanna, what is this pure essence you're talking about? Thank you for asking. Embodying unconditional love, because source is unconditional love. It's not the type of love that humans experience. It is without conditions. It has no agenda. It has no edges. It simply is. It's a very powerful, it's not a feeling. It goes beyond the sense of feeling. It's a very powerful state to be in. And that's what source wants for you, except it's not really true. Yes and no. Source has no needs and not wants. And it has no wants. It doesn't, because it doesn't need anything. It doesn't want anything. It is detached. But just to make a point, source wants for you, because what source wants is what you for you. What source wants for you is what you want for you. And I can pretty much guarantee you that you want peace. So if source ever wanted anything for you, source wants you to experience more peace. And the more you embody the sense of unconditional love, the more you will experience greater peace. And that doesn't come from the intellect, although it does help the intellect. It comes from the heart. So the message here is, again, you are the universe. Remember. So you are here to remember. You chose to come into planet Earth to remember. Now, when I say you chose, many of you, including myself, would say, I didn't choose this, not consciously and not as a human. When you are making the choice to come into a physical body, that choice was made from the space of your spirit. That choice was made from the perspective of your spirit. It wasn't made from a perspective of a human, because as a spirit, you have a higher perspective than a human perspective. So when I say you chose to be here from the higher perspective, you have chosen to be here. No one has forced you or I to be here, apparently. And this is what I remember. But it doesn't always feel that way when we're going through a lot of difficulties, and especially very challenging transitions like we are going through right now. You know, the idea of us choosing this is that, again, you didn't choose challenging experiences from the perspective of human being. You chose to be here and to experience from the perspective of your spirit. So that's the message number one. Remember who you are. Message number two, temple of truth, throat chakra, authenticity, self-expression. You are here to be more than what you think of yourself. You are here to be more than what you think of yourself. What you think of yourself is very important because what you think is generally what you experience. So in order for you to experience more than what you think, you have to be consciously aware of what it is that you think. If you have small thoughts about you, you're going to have smaller experiences. On the other hand, if you remember who you are, you begin to embody this awareness, and this awareness allows you to have much greater experiences. Throat chakra, authenticity, self-expression. There is thank you. Divine flow, divinity flows through you, within you and through you. Divinity flows through you and within you. You are here to express divinity into this world. Okay, Joanna, logical question. What is divinity? Divinity is source of all that is. You are being encouraged to remember that you are part of source, which is the source of what is, and you are here to express divinity through acts of unconditional love. Not always easy. Last video, I talked about the idea of forgiveness, and that has triggered a lot of people. I knew it would, because forgiveness is not easy, especially when someone has betrayed you, done you wrong, ruined your life in some way. Forgiveness is not easy, but as long as we are holding onto our unforgiveness, we are holding onto pain. And as long as we are holding onto pain, emotional pain, mental pain, we are not able to experience more beyond what is the pain because we're holding on to it. So in order for us, the chosen ones, to express more unconditional love, it would behoove us to let go and to forgive. And again, it's a lot easier to forgive somebody who has tripped you over versus someone who has, let's use a drastic example, ruined your life. But again, as long as we are holding on to unforgiveness, we are holding on to pain, anger, resentment. None of these things are bad nor good, but they do influence you and your energy and your energetic being. And because you're an energetic being, the more we hold on to anger, bitterness, hurt, and pain, the more we are in resistance to truly being our full selves, because pain and unforgiveness hold us back. You may need to, here's what I'm being asked to say. If there is someone you need to forgive, and I'm going to break this into 2 points. If there is someone you feel you need to forgive or you want to forgive, but you're having a really hard time with forgiving it, here's what I would like you to consider. Why don't you first start with forgiving yourself for not forgiving the other person? At least try doing that. Forgive yourself for not forgiving the other person. Because if you're not ready to forgive and you're holding yourself hostage and you're mad at yourself because you can't forgive yourself, you're not doing yourself any favors. So at least step 1, forgive yourself for not being willing or ready to forgive somebody else. Start there and see what happens. Self-forgiveness is one of the more difficult things I feel humans do. I think it's a lot easier sometimes to forget somebody else than forgive ourselves, but the whole idea is forgiveness. So forgive yourself for not wanting to forgive somebody else. Forgive yourself for wanting to be angry. Forgive yourself for wanting to be bitter. Forgive yourself for wanting to be negative. Forgive yourself for that. And then see what happens. So forgiveness is big. Also, because they're talking about throat here, it's important for you to have a more fluid expression. What does that mean? Likely you are someone who holds yourself back in terms of what you say, how you say, who you say what to. And because you're here to seed higher consciousness, I feel like for some of you, it comes with speaking certain truths. Now, when I talk about speaking certain truths, I'm not saying that you're supposed to be standing on a podium and beat people over the head about what you believe truth is. But truth has an interesting way of coming out. Truth always comes out in the end. So your job, first and foremost, is to learn how to speak your truth. How you speak your truth, it will all be dependent. But speaking your truth doesn't mean that you are, when you're angry at somebody, you cuss them and curse them. That's not really speaking your truth. Speaking your truth can be, let's say, saying what hurts you or saying what bothers you and taking responsibility for how you feel. So this is really important. If there are some things that you wanted to say to somebody because they've hurt you before, but they are no longer around, they're no longer in your life, or they're no longer in this human life, then you might want to do a meditation where you imagine this person or persons in front of you and you speak your truth to them as if they were listening to you. When I do these exercises with clients under certain conditions, there's a tremendous potential for shifting one's energy. So it's a very powerful exercise. Now, if you choose to do this exercise, don't do it for the sake of doing it. Do it because you mean it, because it's all about intention. So you might want to express something to somebody, how you feel, how they made you feel, how you have felt when they hurt you. And even though, like I said, even though they may not be here anymore, even though they may not be in your life anymore, it's important for you to express that to these people, to these persons in your imagination, in your mind. And that often creates a cathartic release. Because even though you're not speaking to a real human, the intention is that you are projecting certain truth to someone who was not able to hear your truth before, or because you were not ready to speak your truth. Also, learning how to speak your truth is, I had to learn how to speak my truth. I always held myself back. I was not allowed to speak. And whatever I did speak was always signified to me as it was wrong. So I held back a lot. As a result, I'm pretty sure I have thyroid issues. But that's on demand now, on the med. So when we don't, and you have a very powerful throat chakra. Well, I guess we all do, but I'm speaking to you. You have a very powerful throat chakra. The more you suppress your throat chakra, the more you suppress your truth, the more you will be in resistance to flow of life. And you don't want to be in resistance to flow of life, because when you're in resistance to flow of life, when you're in resistance, there's often pain, there's difficulty, there's a lot more challenges than necessary. So it's important for you to speak your truth. How you speak, that's entirely up to you. But the way I would speak my truth is I would speak in terms of I feel and take responsibility for I feel versus you. It's a very powerful way to speak your truth. Here's why. When you speak your truth and when you say to someone how you feel, not how they made you feel, but how you feel, there's no argument there. You feel what you feel. No one can argue with what you feel. They may not agree with why you feel what you feel. They may not like how you feel, but that's irrelevant. You feel what you feel. And taking responsibility for how you feel is very important. Also, you're no longer here to let other people dictate to you how you should live. So if you are someone who has been, who I want to say emotionally neglected. If you are someone who has felt emotionally neglected, or you have been emotionally neglected, the frequency of emotional neglect often acts as a suppressor. So if you have been emotionally neglected, chances are you have learned how to suppress your voice. That's actually interesting. I'm going to have to think about that. So one way to exercise your powerful throat chakra is to no longer suppress what you're feeling. At least acknowledge how you feel to yourself. Always be honest with yourself in terms of how you feel. And then if you choose to be honest with somebody else, that's secondary. But being honest about how you feel and not denying how you feel goes a long, long way to expressing yourself much more exponentially. Authenticity, self-expression. Again, what does it mean to be an authentic self? To be true. You can sense when someone is not being authentic. Authenticity can't be faked. I would say it's very hard to fake authenticity. In fact, I don't think you can, because it's an essence. Authenticity is a vibration, it's an essence. To be an authentic person is first and foremost to be true to yourself. To be true to yourself and then show up as your authentic self. Sometimes we don't show up as authentic selves because we fear that if we show up as our true colors, we will be rejected or abandoned. But when we hold ourselves back, we are rejecting and abandoning ourselves. So if you are someone who is used to suppressing a lot of emotions, you are very likely someone who has denied your own feelings and you have rejection issues. So you are someone who's likely been rejected. It doesn't feel very good to be rejected. It does not feel very good to be abandoned. But again, as long as we are holding on to rejection and abandonment, we can't truly live our life to the fullest. So I feel like this message is about expressing grievances. If you have any grievances towards somebody, but you not have been able to express them before, it would behoove you to either write it out on a piece of paper, to do the exercise and speak your truth to somebody in your vision. If you do choose to write something out, it will be writing something out in your journal, and it does not mean that you have to give it to the person. But just the act of writing your grievances out is going to go a long, long way in terms of you expressing these grievances out, through and out of your body, because this is what you want. You don't want to be holding on to these grievances because they're lower vibrations and they do suppress your level of expression. Okay? Again, remember, speaking your truth is about saying how you feel and taking your responsibility for how you feel, or taking the responsibility for how you feel. If you accuse of someone because they make you feel a certain way, the act of accusation often meets with resistance. On the other hand, when you express how you feel, you're taking ownership of how you feel, and there's no argument there. There's just no argument there. You feel how you feel. You're allowed to feel whatever you feel. But expressing how you feel and taking responsibility for how you feel is a big, big one. Okay, so that's message number 2. Message number 3 for the chosen ones. Champion peace. This is very self-explanatory. Like I said before, more than anything, I believe what every single human wants is peace. Humans want to experience peace. Why? Because peace is peaceful. In order to experience peace, you have to be at peace with yourself. If you're not at peace with yourself, if you are in self-rejection or self-abandonment, you are not going to experience peace, and you're not going to emanate peace. You're going to emanate something else. So it's interesting because I'm seeing these butterflies, and that's not usually how I depict butterflies, but it's like a butterfly, but it's green. So this is essentially saying to me, and there's a lot of orange here, orange and yellow. There's a lot of second and third chakra clearing. Any abandonment, any rejection, anything like that has taken place long time ago, but you are still holding on to these grievances, you are being asked or encouraged to find more peace inside of you by forgiving somebody, by expressing something to somebody, by forgiving yourself. Peace. Well, just imagine tomorrow and life is peaceful. People do like drama. Let's just face it. Nothing wrong with that. We like drama. If everything was always peaceful, I think we would get kind of bored. So we do need a little bit of emotional up and down. It makes life a little bit more interesting. But for the most part, most humans want to experience peace. Okay? Remember, peace is not outside of you. Peace is always inside of you. Just like divinity is not outside of you, divinity is within you. Source is not outside of you, source is within you. So just like source is within you, peace is within you. In order for you to experience more peace, you have to tap into more of your peace. If you have a lot of things going on inside and you are not at peace with yourself, when you are at war with yourself, you're not going to feel peaceful. It's just as simple as that. It's just now, if you are living, God forbid, in a country where there is war, you're likely not going to feel peace. And for me to say, oh, just close your eyes and feel peace, that would be very ignorant for me to say. And I would never say that. So of course, you have your own situation and you know what you're capable of. But if you are in a war zone, I would almost expect you not to feel peace. That's your experience right now. But even then, if you can somehow find few moments and connect with yourself and the source within you, if you can find a moment to connect with yourself and the source within you, even though there's a lot of non-peace happening in the world, you can still experience a little bit more peace inside of you. And that's going to help you deal with whatever is happening in front of you. It may not take everything away that is happening in your life, but it will allow you to move through these very difficult, sometimes challenges with a little bit more, I want to say a little bit more grit and a little bit more peace. Again, not easy, but I'm hoping you get the message. So peace, always internal. Message number 3, howl with fierceness. So I actually saw this card when it was coming out, and I tuned into the idea of fierceness. And fierce does not mean combative. It doesn't mean that. Fierce is passionate, unwavering, strong, confident, not combative. So the universe is saying, own your fierceness. Own your fierceness. There's a wolf here. You may resonate with the symbol of a wolf. Wolves are pack animals. They're also leaders. White wolf, I feel like it's very symbolic. And you are likely someone who is fierce, but maybe you have suppressed your fierceness. Maybe you've suppressed your fierceness out of fear that if you show up in your full light, in your full charge, people are going to react to you negatively. Well, some will and some won't. If your intention is pure, if you have a pure heart, at the end of the day, we all have a pure heart at the base of everything. If you are showing up with your fierceness, but also with your gentility at the same time, I guarantee you're going to be like a freaking magnet. Okay? Again, fierceness does not mean combative. Now, you will be a fierce person, and sometimes it requires you to be combative, but only, and I repeat, only when it is absolutely necessary. Only and only when it is absolutely necessary. Okay? So that's the message. Fragment. To me, this speaks of coming back online. What does that mean? When something is offline, it's not visible, it's not working. When something is online, things are working. So this message speaks to me about you, the chosen one, coming online, becoming more conscious, becoming more aware, becoming more in tune with your inner self, with your higher self, becoming more expanded in your awareness. Well, again, you're the chosen one. You are here choosing to remember who you are so that you can help planet Earth and her occupants embody eventually higher consciousness. So you're coming online. Another way I want to say it is you're beginning to wake up. Now, if you're someone who is awake already, then you are in the process of waking up even more. And the awakening is happening very fast right now, and it can feel a little bit intimidating because when we begin to remember that which always has been, but we have never had visibility to it, starting to see things that we were not aware of before can become a little bit confusing. So coming online it's not always easy. Waking up can make people feel crazy, especially because if you're listening to this, you are likely someone who is operating into different frequencies. I'll give you an example. The other day, a few days ago, I was writing a message from my guides to my client. And there was one specific information that I wrote because it was about a crystal. And I remember writing it down and it was underlined because I remembered the crystal was just kind of interesting. So half an hour later, when I was talking to my client, I look at all the notes and that information is not there. And I wrote it. I know I wrote it because I underlined it. Gone. I thought I was going crazy. And when I was kind of musing about that, what came to me is that it's like I'm operating in two different timelines. And that felt very confusing to me. I thought I was losing it. But at the end of the day, I just started to laugh because it's like, I guess I'm operating in two different dimensions. And that's not always easy. So waking up can make you feel like you're going a little bit crazy, a little bit cuckoo. The best advice I could give you about that is just don't lose your sense of humor. And in fact, just say to yourself, I'm losing my head. Well, in fact, I say you are losing your old head, your limited head, and you're becoming much more expanded. Just so you know, coming online can feel a little bit wobbly. You're the chosen one because you're choosing to remember. Remembering is not always, well, it's not easy. Remembering is not always easy. It's not convenient. It's sometimes not popular. When you begin to remember more and more, it can, at least at the very beginning, act as something that actually not separates you from other people, but it makes you feel like you're different because all of a sudden you begin to wake up and everybody around you is still asleep. Let's use that analogy. And that it feels weird. It feels weird because you're no longer operating under the same consciousness as all of those around you. And that can make you feel very isolated. That can make you feel very lonely. That can make you feel like you are quote unquote weird. Well, you could call yourself weird if that's what you want. If waking up means you're being weird, I would just say own your weirdness. But coming online, like I said, it's not always easy. It's not always convenient. It's certainly not always popular. And when we begin to wake up, and especially when we begin to share certain things, and people look at you like, have you gone mad? Sometimes we have to discern what we should say and what we shouldn't say because not everyone is on this. Not everyone is at the same trajectory in terms of their waking up process. So we're all here to wake up eventually. Some people are going to wake up this life and some people won't wake up this lifetime. Totally fine. There's no, you're not going to be judged for it. It's just, it is what it is. But the message here is when you come online, when you begin to remember, sometimes the tendency will be to either hide the information that you are becoming aware of or want to speak about it to people who are not ready to hear it. So what I would say is use your discernment. Use your discernment. If you're guided to talk about these things with other people, do so. But if you feel like you're going to get this, if you think like you're going to get this, then use your discernment is what I'm going to say. Eventually what's going to happen, there's going to be more and more people attracted to you that are of the same vibration. So even though you may be leaving behind those who are not awake, those who are still asleep, and you will, it may, for some of you, it may feel like you are moving away from certain people. If it's friends, you might no longer resonate with your friends. Even if it's your family members, you may no longer resonate with your friends, but you're not going to divorce your family members. You're just going to let them be who they are while you are becoming more aware. And just because you are more aware than they are doesn't mean that you're better. It doesn't mean that they're worse. You're just on a different trajectory. But it may make conversations a little bit weird or a little bit challenging because you're no longer operating on the same consciousness as those around you. So that can feel very isolating. It can feel very, very lonely. That's why there are communities like this. That's why you're likely listening to videos like this. I have my own Higher Consciousness Academy community where we meet every other week in order to talk about these things so that people feel safe, that can express things that other people in their life would deem as weird. So I always say, if you feel like you're becoming weird or if people feel like you're becoming weird, here's what I'm going to say. Own your fierceness and own your weirdness. At the end of the day, if someone calls me weird because I have chosen to be more aware and more awake, I'm going to say, all right, I'm weird. I love my weirdness. And operating in my weirdness serves me so much more and so much better than when I was operating in the status quo. So Own your weirdness and own your fierceness. So that's what I have for you guys, the chosen one. Again, remember, no one has chosen you. You have chosen to be here, and you have chosen to remember. You have chosen to be more awake. You have chosen to be more aware so that you can seed this higher consciousness to planet Earth to help her ascend and her occupants ascend as well. So you are doing big work on planet Earth just by choosing to remember. Now, when I say just, I'm not minimizing it because it's a big job. It's a huge undertaking to remember because, in fact, to remember is to let go of your limited identity. It's to let go of the limitations. It's to let perceived limitations. It's to let go of status quo. It's to no longer fit yourself in a box, but rather live outside the box, especially if it's a box that conditioning has put you in. Family, you get the picture. So thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to be the chosen one. Thank you for choosing to be more aware. Thank you for choosing to be more awake. Again, it's a tremendous undertaking, and my team and myself are very grateful to you for that, because the more of us that remember, the more we end up accepting and embodying our divinity. And the more we embody our divinity, the more we can project that light into this world. And that's what this is all about. Thank you so much for being here. If you would like to have a session with my guides and myself, there's a link down below. I will also be holding a breathwork, in-person breathwork session, powerful breathwork, and I'll also be doing energy healing if you are local in Vancouver area. That information is down below. It's on May 8th. So until then, I wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend whenever you hear it, and I look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye.